Have you ever danced until you dropped? Literally? Imagine, if you will, the year 1518. A year etched in history, not for a battle or discovery but for a dance. Yes, a dance. The Dancing Plague of 1518, a bizarre event that had people dancing uncontrollably until they collapsed from exhaustion. A true event that defies logic and invites curiosity. Well, in 1518, that's exactly what happened to many people in Strasbourg. Intrigued? Let's delve more into this fascinating piece of history. It started with a woman named Frau Trophäa. In the heart of Strasbourg, in the summer of 1518, Trophäa took to the streets, her feet moving to a rhythm only she could hear. Without any apparent reason, she began a dance that was to continue for days on end. The townsfolk watched in bewilderment as Trophäa twirled, leaped and spun, her body seemingly possessed by an insatiable desire to move. Concern began to ripple through the crowd as the sun set and rose again, yet Trophäa's dance did not cease. Her shoes wore thin, her feet bled, and her body trembled with fatigue, but still she danced. The spectacle of her relentless movement held the town in a grip of unease. As days turned into a week, her physical condition deteriorated drastically. Despite exhaustion and injuries, Trophäa danced on. Little did she know she was just the first of many. Soon, the dancing fever began to spread. As word of Frau Trophäa's inexplicable dance spread, something peculiar happened. It was as if the rhythm of her movements was infectious. Within a week, dozens of the townsfolk had joined her, their bodies swaying and jerking in a seemingly uncontrollable dance. This was no festival, no celebration. It was a dance of desperation, a dance of despair. The onlookers, who initially laughed and clapped, soon turned to fear as the number of dancers grew to hundreds. Streets that once buzzed with the humdrum of everyday life were now filled with the relentless beat of footfalls, the gasps of the weary, and the eerie melody of a dance that knew no end. The authorities were baffled. This was not an act of rebellion, not a protest or a statement, it was a dance that seemed to hold its captives in a trance-like state. They danced through the day, they danced through the night. They danced till their feet bled, till their bodies gave in to exhaustion only to rise again and dance. The city council in their desperation sought the counsel of local physicians, who, bereft of any logical explanation, blamed it on hot blood. The solution, they said, was more dancing. They believed the fever would leave as mysteriously as it came, once the dancers had danced it out of their systems. The city even went as far as to hire musicians and construct wooden stages, inadvertently fueling the flames of this bizarre epidemic. The public panic was palpable. Families watched in helpless despair as their loved ones were consumed by this relentless dance. The streets of Strasbourg, once filled with the cheerful chatter of its residents, now echoed with the haunting rhythm of this strange, inexplicable epidemic. By August, the streets of Strasbourg were filled with dancing, exhausted bodies. And so the city danced, not to the tunes of joy and celebration, but to the eerie rhythm of an epidemic, a dance of despair that history would remember as the Dancing Plague of 1518. But what could have possibly caused this bizarre event is a question that has had historians and scientists scratching their heads for centuries. In our quest to understand the Dancing Plague of 1518, we delve into the various theories proposed over the years. One theory that often comes up is that of mass hysteria, or collective obsessional behavior. This psychological phenomenon occurs when individuals in a group start to act in a certain way, triggering a domino effect. In the case of the Dancing Plague, it's suggested that the stress and fear of hard times may have triggered the first dancer, and the phenomenon then spread through the community. However, this theory, while plausible, fails to fully explain why the dancing was so sustained and extreme. Another theory points towards religious fervor. The Middle Ages were a time of intense piety, and dancing was not uncommon in religious rituals. Some suggest that the dancers were performing a sort of penance, dancing in atonement for their sins. Yet, this theory too falls short in explaining why the dancing became so uncontrollable, and why it spread so widely. A more scientific explanation is ergot poisoning. Ergot is a fungus that commonly infects rye and other grains, and it can cause hallucinations and convulsions when ingested. Some speculate that the dancers might have consumed bread made from ergot-infected grain, leading to their uncontrollable dancing. This theory, however, is controversial, as ergotism usually leads to physical ailments like the loss of limbs due to restricted blood flow, symptoms that were not reported during the Dancing Plague. Yet another theory suggests that the Dancing Plague was a result of encephalitis, and inflammation of the brain. Symptoms can include fever, headache, and in severe cases, altered behavior and movement. However, like the other theories, this one also has its limitations as it doesn't account for the mass outbreak of the phenomenon. Finally, some propose that the dancing plague was a result of a cultural practice or a forgotten tradition. In this view, the plague was not a spontaneous outbreak but a ritualistic dance that was misunderstood or misinterpreted by observers. However, this theory does not explain the physical toll the dancing took on the participants. Each of these theories provides a piece to the puzzle, but none offer a complete picture. They each have their strengths and weaknesses, and all raise further questions. The dancing plague of 1518 is a historical enigma, a strange occurrence that defies easy explanation. Despite numerous theories, the true cause of the dancing plague remains a mystery. The dance couldn't go on forever, could it? As weeks turned into months, the streets of Strasbourg, once filled with music and laughter, now echoed with the eerie sounds of unending dance. The authorities, initially bemused, now faced a crisis of unprecedented proportions. The town's ruling council, desperate for solutions, consulted physicians and scholars. Their advice? More dancing. They believed the plague was a fever, and the sufferers needed to dance it off. But when this remedy failed, the authorities had to think of something else. They decided to ban music and dancing. In the face of such an inexplicable epidemic, it seemed like the only reasonable course of action. The streets of Strasbourg were silenced, the music stopped, and the dancers were forcibly removed from the public spaces. But the dance didn't stop overnight. The dancers, exhausted and broken, gradually ceased their relentless footwork. The last dancer reportedly stopped in early September, a full 2 months after the plague began. The aftermath was a town in shock. The people of Strasbourg were left to pick up the pieces of their lives, forever scarred by the memory of the dance. They mourned their dead, tended to the survivors, and tried to make sense of the madness that had consumed them. The dance had finally ended, but the mystery had just begun. So why does the dancing plague of 1518 matter today? The dancing plague of 1518 is one of those peculiar footnotes in history that leaves us scratching our heads and pondering the mysteries of the human mind. It serves as a stark reminder of how the human psyche can be influenced by social, environmental, and psychological factors, leading to the most bizarre collective behaviors. This event, which took place in Strasbourg, a city that today lies in the heart of France, saw hundreds of people compelled to dance for days on end, with no apparent reason or cure. It wasn't a joyous celebration or a coordinated performance, but a bizarre, uncontrollable compulsion that gripped the city for a whole month. What makes the dancing plague stand out is its unique place in history. It's one of the earliest and most vivid examples of what we now understand as mass psychogenic illness, a condition where a group of people, linked by social factors, start to exhibit similar physical symptoms without any discernible cause. This strange phenomenon offers us a window into the mind's power and the influence of societal pressures and beliefs. It's a testament to how our mental state can manifest physically and how contagious these manifestations can become in a close-knit community. Moreover, the dancing plague of 1518 underscores the importance of cultural context in understanding such occurrences. It reminds us that our interpretation of such events is often colored by our cultural lens, and what seems inexplicable to us may have made perfect sense to the people of the time. In the end, the dancing plague serves as a fascinating case study for historians, psychologists, and medical professionals alike. It encourages us to delve deeper into the complexities of the human mind and the intricate ways in which it interacts with society and culture. The dancing plague of 1518, a dance of mystery, a dance of history, a dance that continues to intrigue and baffle us 5 centuries later.